Good evening and welcome to Real World News. I'm Chara and Tappin, and joining me this evening is my co-host Reggie Kearney, editor-in-chief of the Urban Sentinel, and our illustrious producer Toni Breedlove. Tonight, to put it succinctly, it appears we're going to be discussing basically what amounts to the Trump administration's basically kidnapping of immigrant children crossing the border with their parents. Basically sending a message that these people are disposable and good for nothing but lining the pockets of Trump's elite friends over at the GEO Group and CCA, the proud owners of the prison for profit system. And possibly now we even have to worry about human traffickers. It's extremely disheartening as an American citizen, born and raised in this country, to believe that we're the land of the brave and the free and democracy, that have historically offered asylum to people who are seeking refuge here from horrific regimes or violence existing in their country, are now witnessing basically fascism at its best or worst. Manhandling families and ripping children away from their parents and separating them. And the horrors go on after that. It doesn't even stop there. I am so livid that we even have to have this discussion. Reggie, what are your thoughts?
Well, it's the same old song. I mean, as I stated earlier, we're in a country now that doesn't care too much for people of color. And how can you support an immigration policy like this when your wife can't hardly speak English and she's an immigrant? Her parents were fast-tracked into this country as immigrants. His grandfather wrote a letter asking not to be deported, immigrants. His father was an immigrant. So it just boils down to the point that people of color are not welcome in this country any longer. And given the fact that Native Americans were the first ones here. So I think, immigration is taking a turn for the worse here in this country and around the world, because we're not the only country that's forcing immigrants away from this country or trying to keep immigrants out, especially a class of people that aren't made to feel welcome in our country.
It's even worse than that, though. I mean, the anti-immigrant discussion and sentiment that's being nurtured in this country has been going on for a while now. But to escalate to the point of forcibly taking children away from their families and putting them in sponsor homes or foster homes, and then losing roughly 20% of those, it's beyond negligence. And I don't understand the legal basis we have for doing this. If Honduras and South America and Mexico were stronger countries, I could see them taking serious issue with this and holding our country accountable. But, you talk about a regime that we have in this country now that likes to pretend that it has the moral high ground, the religious right, if you will, the evangelicals, and they're not saying anything about this. Again, to mirror your comments, because people of color are disposable. It's easy to forget, that there's more news today on Roseanne Barr's stupidity than there is on finding out where these children are. Speaks volumes about where we are as a country right now. And there's so many questions. Where are these children that they can't locate? 1,475 children that they can't locate. At least that's the number that they're willing to admit to. I've read nothing about what the plan is to reunite the children they can find with their parents once they get deported. What we do know is that they spend a significant amount of time in one of these refugee camps, whether they want to call it a military base or one of the CCA or GEO prisons. Right now, this boils down to money, because GEO and CCA have been losing money in various states like Texas and Arizona because they just don't have the numbers to fill their beds. And if we remember from a show we did about a year and a half ago, in their marketing papers to their investors or potential investors, they promise that this is a recession-proof investment, and that they tell their local municipalities that they're responsible for maintaining 80 to 90% occupancy in these prisons, and it's from that occupancy that they make their money. And so, if they're running out of people to arrest, they're running out of behavior to criminalize. We know that they've been turning to immigrants. They've been doing this for at least the last year and a half, 2 years. But now to involve the children, I think, is a whole nother level of despicable. Toni, what do you think?
I have to agree. I mean, this is it's
There are no words. Hey, Reggie, why don't you join in, since it looks like Toni froze?
Okay. Well, I think the biggest problem is that these individuals don't have any advocates from their community. Okay, and you haven't heard anybody from the Hispanic community speaking up on this violation of civil rights among these kids. And I think that's one of the biggest things. You stated that more emphasis was being placed on Roseanne Barr today as far as news over these kids. And they got to have advocates. There got to be people in the community that are advocating for these children. And I don't see that happening.
No. Toni, you want to chime in again? You were frozen before.
yeah, I don't know why I keep freezing. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Well, now I can't see you.
Mhm.
It looks like there you go.
All right. Do you see
But
me?
I'm looking at a CNN article.
Do you see me yet?
Yes.
Okay, good. Like I was beginning to say a moment ago, is that there is no other word but despicable when we talk about this instance. And I think that during the weekend, you had put through a post to the group while you were sending, show ideas and things of that nature. And I really didn't think about the fact that because we have this $150 billion industry called human trafficking, that could be the basis of some of these people who are missing.
Mm-hmm.
And if that is the crux of the matter, then no, you're not going to hear a whole lot of coverage because they know what it is.
Yeah.
It is
Well,
what it is.
we saw this happen almost. We see this happen almost during every travesty, whether it's in an African nation or Haiti, um, or Katrina. Supposedly altruistic, civic-minded people came forward to take care of the children, and then later it turned out that a number of these children were being trafficked. So
Yeah.
it is not a stretch of the imagination to imagine that this could be happening now. And as a matter of fact, in 2006, before Obama left office, he had a study done, and he found that the I don't know if it was the Office of Refugee Resettlement or HSS, but he found that there was a small percentage of the minors that were discovered to have been trafficked. One was working
Mm-hmm.
on an egg farm.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, the lesser of two evils is manual labor versus sexual human
Sexual.
trafficking.
Right.
But they discovered this and they fixed it. But he said that that agency now has to make every effort imaginable to guarantee the safety of the children that they're putting in the system, whether it's foster care or it's sponsored families. And a year, 2 years later, that agency still hasn't done that.
Right.
And now you've got, the Trump Meister, who yet again, including his administration, have a pathological inability to accept responsibility or accountability for any of their actions. And
Right.
so he's trying to now say that it was an Obama administration rule or a Democratic rule, and that is patently untrue.
Okay. True or not, when will he let it go about blaming the Obama administration for every shortcoming that he has?
Never. Reggie, what do you think?
Well, he's never gonna let go of that. You know,
Mm.
his
I'm trying to
main
get
plan.
Reggie back. For
Because,
some reason, cameras are freezing, and I'm going to take him down until we can get him back up.
Yeah, okay. And oddly enough, I could see and hear him at the time.
Oh,
But
okay.
hopefully when you get him back up, everybody will be able to see him.
Yeah, because I can hear you,
Mm.
um, but you're frozen as well. So I
Apologies,
tell you
folks, for
what.
the technical difficulties.
Yeah, tell you what, Chara, go out, come back in. While you guys are coming back in, I am going to just mention our sponsors. And by the time I'm done with that, then I'm sure that everything will be back up. Okay?
Okay.
All
Peace.
righty. So at this time, I am going to mention our sponsors while they are rebooting and coming back in. The Real World News TV and Hot Topics Talk Radio Network is sponsored by Shades of Africa in 2 locations, in the city of Corona and in the city of Long Beach. Also sponsored by SPMG Media, Miss Gina Smith, who happens to make sure that as a publicist, that she keeps us in the news, whether it be print or digital. Thank you, Miss Gina Smith. Also sponsored by that very handsome gentleman there, Mr. Reggie Kearney of the Urban Sentinel. I call him my baby daddy.
Oh boy.
It's the only time he smiled since he's been on air tonight. Also sponsored by, did I say Urban Sentinel? Yes, Urban Sentinel. And also sponsored by Stephanie Warren Jenkins of FES Protection. So for more information regarding all of our sponsors, head on over to our website at hottopicstalkradio.com/sponsors. By mentioning the Hot Topics Talk Radio Network or any of the shows under the network, and if you're heading over to Shades of Africa, either in Long Beach or Corona, you'll receive 15% off your purchase. Shades of Africa for the mind, body, and spirit. Okay, you guys. So getting back to you.
You know, one of the other things that I find exceedingly frustrating about all of this is, reading all of the comments by, Deputy Secretary Eric Hagan or Sessions or Trump or whoever wants to stick their foot in it. It's like a game of verbal 3-card Monte, because on the one hand, they'll say, oh, this is hyperbole, they're not lost. Well, excuse me, if you don't know where they are, they're
They're
lost.
lost.
Number two, they'll say, well, we're not worried because the sponsors and the families were heavily vetted. But then later on, he's quoted as saying, maybe one of the reasons why we can't find them is that because some of the families we put them with might be illegal themselves. Well, which is it? Were they vetted or are they illegal immigrants? Because with this climate, you wouldn't put illegal immigrant children with illegal
With illegal
families.
parents. Right.
ICE would storm those households and drag those people out kicking and screaming, as we see every single day. So
Right.
they don't, what's hyperbole is their amount of attention and lack of concern. I mean, it's absolutely inhumane. I'm waiting for the UN to speak up on this. They've admitted to 1,475, but I can guarantee you that number is higher. Just like Trump
Yeah.
thinks only 64 people died in the hurricane in Puerto Rico, and it's now mounting to close to 5,000. We can't believe a thing these people are reporting.
So, Reggie, we haven't heard from you yet.
well, it might be a reason why these kids are being misplaced or not. And ICE is not going to these houses because I'm pretty sure the administration knows where these kids are. I think it's a way for them to break the family cycle. They figure they can break the parents down. They can keep people from coming in the country. And I think it's all being used as a propaganda ploy to keep immigrants from coming in this country. And we also got to be concerned with black immigrants too now. We have a lot of immigrants coming from the African countries, so we have to be concerned about them also. Because even though they might not have their children taken away from them when they first get here, I'm pretty sure they're going through hell trying to get into this country.
Mm-hmm.
Because basically, this administration doesn't want any more immigrants. Okay, they want certain cat.
Whether they want them or not,
they want European immigrants. Okay, they don't want people of color. They want European immigrants that have a slight IQ higher than a skunk. Okay,
Well, whether they want them here or not,
Mm-hmm.
still does not give answer or resolve to where these people are.
I have to
Where
disagree
these
with
people
you
are.
on just one little point, and I think that it has never been. There is a certain portion of the population that has always wanted these immigrants here, and that's the farmers and those people who benefit from the cheap labor. They've never stopped and desisted from offering these jobs, and I'm not hating on them for that, but I'm just saying that that population exists. But now, again, we have a new crop of cotton, and that's these immigrants, because
Mm.
they're making money off of them, head per bed. For every sheet, for every tampon, for every minor convenience that they need to provide these people, whether if it's a corner on the floor with one of those metallic, weather, emergency blankets or whatever, they're getting $100 to $200 a head for every body they put in one of these institutions. And they can keep them there for however long, because technically they're not covered by our Constitution. At least that's the argument that they make. So they're making money off of these folks.
And nor are they counted.
Nor are they counted. And I have seen article after article about American citizens who were caught up in that because they didn't happen to have their ID on them at the time. It happened a lot in Arizona and Texas, where people were held for years without being able to see a judge, without their family being informed where they were. One instance, this fellow who was on the spectrum of autism wouldn't have been able to communicate, and they used him for labor for 2 years before his mother found where he was and fought to get him out. And because she was a Spanish-speaking American, they gave her a hard time, and it took forever to get him out. So making money off of them, this whole political grandstanding about not wanting immigrants here. So you've got two different populations. You've got the politicians who are benefiting by drumming up all this hatred by middle America. And then you've got middle Americans who are convinced that they need to hate these people, with these poor people stuck in the middle. And now imagine this scenario. You've got a mother, either got a family or a mother schlepping across Central America to get here, to get away from gangs, to get away from a violent regime. And she or he is deported back while their child is still here on American soil, living in a sponsored home or a fostered home. The parent gets killed when they go back home. Does our government know? Does our government track the parents? Who do we send this kid to? So now we don't want DACA, but we're taking these children and we're putting them in homes here. So we're paying for it one way or another. It makes no logical sense whatsoever. None whatsoever.
Jacqueline says, go to the White House and do a search. They are probably there working underground.
Finding all of his golf balls, right?
Yeah. She says that she can't do Trump no more. Shaking her damn head. I know what you mean. I truly understand what you mean. I just found it sad that you turn on the news and you hear over 1,400 children vanish.
Even the Geneva Convention requires that we treat these children better than they're being treated.
Well, the Geneva Convention would also have track on them. They would understand where they are in every process of whatever move that is.
And here's another. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm just so heated by this, Toni.
Go ahead.
Another thing is, like you said the word track, and that's what triggered me. Because all of these people do need to go back to court in order to get deported, technically speaking. So you need to track the children and the teens to find out where they are to make sure they show up at court. So if you're not if the ORR and Department of Homeland Security is not responsible for tracking these children after they're put in sponsored homes and foster homes, then how do you guarantee that you don't wind up with a whole nother generation of people who are here illegally? How do you guarantee that these folks go back to court?
Well, you don't, because and I think, I'm not sure if it was Reggie, because I was doing all kind of different things that was going on when you guys were speaking. But I think even Reggie had said something to the effect that even with Black immigrants being here. Even Black immigrants, to some degree, are tracked in the system.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's so that they can keep an eye on us. I don't know. But there's no tracking in this case, which means is that there has to be a reason why all of this stuff is taking place. There's a reason why DACA is, the bad word for your president. There's a reason why.
Don't say your.
There's a reason why people are not being tracked and documented, so that we can show them as undocumented immigrants and move them to whatever proper place that would be, or send them back to their country. There's a reason for all of this. And the reason, and it's my belief, you can take it as you want or you don't. It's up to you. This is how they are going to make sure that slavery in some instance is enacted. I'm telling you, you've got to watch it. Whenever there are 1,400 people who are lost, there's no documentation. It's the same thing they did to the slaves 400 some years ago. No slave was documented,
or at least not sufficiently.
Not sufficiently.
Yeah, I mean, there's documents to show where they were sent, but after that, if the sponsored family moves, if they pick up stakes, if the human trafficker got what he needed and moves to another state, then you're shit out of luck. You're shit out of luck. And now you've got a whole generation of kids who are going to grow up here, missing their parents, forgetting them in some instances, or you've got like a 15-month-old baby or a baby's days old,
Yeah. But you know what I think really unnerves me is when I think about this, and for the people who are actually watching tonight, I want you to think about this. If you have children, or if you have grandchildren, if you have nieces or nephews, if you have anyone who is in or part of your family who depends on their parents for food, clothing, and shelter, and even a kiss goodnight, or helping them with homework, or just being able to see that parent at the end of the day, I want you to really, truly think about this. Think about those children who don't understand what's happening to them. Think about how scary that is. Think about them being taken by traffickers, made to do things that are unspeakable, painful, just inhumane. I want you to think about that. This is where us as Americans have to grow a heart. And they're not immigrant children. They are children. Period. They're babies. So I'm going to leave it there.
There is a special place in hell for Jeff Sessions, I have to say.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't understand why, if all of these people were from the same country, I could easily see that country saying this is, a declaration of war. You're stealing our children. It doesn't matter that the parents were attempting to come here. Granted, a high percentage of them were looking for asylum, and for that, they should have been given their day in court to make their case. But the other thing you have to look at in terms of the cost to us, excuse me, is that when you have a family that stays together and goes through the court system together, that's seen as one case. Excuse me. When you separate all the kids and the family, those become several different cases, handled by different jurisdictions in different states by different judges who don't know one thing about the other. So that's money costing us, excuse me, to push these people through a judicial system. You're right. There is a reason. There is a plan, and it can't only be for the prisons for profit to make money. There's got to be something else even more insidious, because I can't see what allows our government to do this.
I'm telling you what allows our government. The trafficking business is what allows our government. There's no way in hell that anybody can tell me that the government has no parts. They have no touch, no hands, no, just nothing to do with the most profitable business we have on earth at $150 billion a year. This is what brings that. This is what it is. Human trafficking, for the sex trade, for all of these different things, for human slavery, for all of these different things. You can't tell me that something like that goes on in this country and our government does not know about it.
Well, you're
they are a part of it.
One of Trump's ex-campaign people was just arrested, wasn't he, for human trafficking?
Yes.
So yes, there are likely people involved in the government who are involved with that. I can't disagree, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Reggie, what's your inner dialogue saying?
Well, I mean,
shoot them all,
burn them down. Right?
I mean, some of that might be true, but we're never going to get down to the real meat of the situation and problem as long as Republicans are in power. Right now, Trump has no one to challenge him to what's going on. And it's going to be very important with the midterm elections that people go out and vote so the power can shift in the legislative branch. If Democrats are in control, they can force Trump's hand. But with nobody that forces his hand, he's going to do what he wants to do, whether it be trafficking or whatever, or building the prison system up. There's no one there to challenge him because the Republicans in Congress and in the Senate aren't going to challenge him on what's going on right now, okay? That's not going to happen. So, and like I said earlier, there's no advocacy coming out of the Latino and Hispanic community concerning this issue right here, okay? You don't see it. You don't hear about it, okay?
Or maybe the media just isn't showing it, but it exists. It must exist.
You're not even having the Democrats come out and speak on it, okay? Because they know at the end of the day their hands are tied, okay? They've made some comments about, how, that this doesn't work and it's bad business for the country, but they can't push the button to get things done. Until you get some Republicans that have some balls to challenge Trump, he's pretty much going to do what he wants to do. And he's going to allow things to happen. This country is operating in a constitutional crisis at this time, okay?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Nothing based on the Constitution is being followed in this country at this time. So no one's there to challenge it. And look, if it be trafficking or whatever, do you really think they care about 1,500 kids being missing? They don't care. Guaranteed, one of the problems is they probably have put them in households where the people don't want to be contacted because they're scared they're going to get deported, okay?
So, I can't believe that. I can't believe that they would.
They don't care.
But as aggressive as they've been about, jumping into people's home and dragging people out of their house if they're illegal, I can't see them putting children with illegal families.
It's a game. It's a show. They're more after getting the adults out of here than they are for the children. They don't care about the children. They care about keeping the adults out of the system or becoming native, becoming Americans, okay? It goes back to what's on his head. Make America great again, okay? Believe me, if it was a way for him to move us out of this country, they'd be trying to get us on boats and planes out of this country, okay? But they know that's...
it's coming.
Oh, yeah. I mean, no, it's never coming. Like you said, we're going to pop some caps and some butts before it's all over with, okay?
You're a pastor.
Yeah, it's coming, though.
You're a pastor.
It's never going to come because we have more control than they give us credit for, okay?
Well, I'm not saying that it will happen.
Mm-hmm.
What I think the operative word was they're going to try. They will try. Well, yeah, but what if it happens? I don't think so. Because I'm with you. I'll put on my fatigues, my beret, my Black Panther, and my thing in my hair, my pick.
And bust a cap. But the thing is,
I'm not afraid to do that.
The thing is, Trump is throwing all the laws out the window. He's doing pretty much what he wants to do, okay? Their main focus is keeping these adults out of the country. It's all about being reelected again in 2020. That's all it's what about. He'll stand up there and say in a campaign speech, I made these people, I sent these people back to their homes, okay? He doesn't care if these people get killed when they go back home by gang,
Oh no, we know that.
okay?
We know
Yeah.
that.
He doesn't care. But he feels like if he can break the families apart, it makes it easier to send the adults back than it does to send a family back, okay? Because there are in a lot of some of these states there are sympathetic courts that the judges, the federal judges, are Democratic appointees. So he know he'll have a problem trying to send the whole family back. But it's much easier for him to make a case on the adults, okay?
Yeah, so when the baby grows up and is a teenager, because you see how they're crying about DACA now,
They're gonna go and get them.
they don't like the teenagers either.
Yeah, they're
So
gonna eventually get them. And see, this is stuff that he doesn't understand that fuels MS-13, okay? He doesn't realize that it's actions like this that are fuel MS-13. Okay, these kids go out to foster homes, and as they become older, they're gonna be bitter because they don't know where their mother and their fathers are. They're candidates for these gangs, okay? MS-13 is one of the most hideous gangs in this country right now. And they're trying to control it, but they can't. So what are you doing? You're adding fuel to the fire by breaking up these families, leaving the kids here. And what are the kids going to do? They're going to turn to gang violence, okay? Because they're going to be upset at the country for breaking them up as a family.
If they're old enough to remember.
I'm pretty sure some of them are. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of infants out there. But what happens to the infants? They end up getting so-called, quote-unquote, adopted by these families.
And left in a hot car to die.
Huh?
I said, I'm left in a hot car to die.
No, I doubt that.
No, we just saw that happen 2 weeks ago.
I think they get adopted, quote unquote adopted. They might not even never had the papers. Families are gonna bring them into the families like they always been there. Okay, but I think he's more out for the adults than he's out for the kids, just to make a message and statement to his base that, hey, look, I sent them all back home, and that's the whole thing. You look at around the world. It's just not here in America. It's happening in all the countries, in a lot of the European countries. And look at Israel. How can you support a government that's basically telling black folks, look, I'm going to give you X amount of money for you all to leave and go back to Africa. I don't care what part of Africa you go back to, but you got to leave Israel. And if you don't leave Israel, you're going to be detained and put in prison. So I think the figure's around $9,000 or something. What you're going to do? You want a better life for your family, but at the same time, do you take the money or do you spend your life in prison? They talk, and so look how he's moving the embassy to Jerusalem. Okay, again, fighting with people of color, the Palestinians. Okay, Trump hates. He's a racist.
Yeah,
he's an up down.
We know that
racist. And he's doing everything. When you got somebody like Steve Miller working in your your White House, who's straight up racist, and everybody knows it. Where does he get his cue from? He gets his cue from them knuckleheads. Because Steve Miller is in his ear about immigration, and Bolden too. Even though Bolden is part of national security, Bolden has his ear, has his mouth and his tongue stuck in Trump's ear. But like I said, until we can gain control of the government, this is what we're faced with. And we got to deal with it. It's unsettling. It makes you bored. It makes you mad. The countries, the Central American and South American countries, their people aren't speaking up for these guys. The United Nations gonna come out, gonna smack on his hand, and that's gonna be it. Yeah, I mean, gosh,
And the more I think about it, we're talking about the 1,400, but how many children in total have been taken and gone through this process? Several thousand. I want to say it's 14,000, but I don't recall the number exactly. But they can also be caught up in this mess with traffickers or abusers or what have you. We're just, talking about the 1,400 because we literally don't know where they are. How is this not something that's impeachable? This is not constitutional. It's against the Geneva Convention. There's no legal basis for it. Stealing people's children from them. How is this not? I mean, I would call it a war, technically a war. It's a race war. So, maybe in that regard. But, meanwhile, on the news behind me, they're still freaking talking about Roseanne Barr. She's a grown-ass adult who made an extremely racist and despicable comment. She suffered the consequences of that. Let's move on. Done. Next. Let's talk about these children. What more needs to be said about that?
Yeah.
Okay. How many Americans really care about these children? That's another thing. I mean, regardless if you're Democrat or Republican or whatever, how many people are really concerned about these children? I mean, most people got their own issues every day they're trying to deal with. How to pay the next bill, how to get a job or how to keep a job. A lot, you got to realize too, in this country, okay, whether you are for or against immigrants, there are a lot of people on both sides of the fence that are against immigration, okay, for one reason or other, okay? And I think that's a lot of apathy in the community when it comes to that, okay? Because the way it played out on TV before it all happened, and the comments that Trump made before it happened, oh, we got a choo-choo train coming from Mexico. We got a lot of coming to Central America, all these folks. Oh, they down there raping each other on their way up here and all this kind of stuff. It was on his part, bad PR put out, which he wanted to put out before they even got here. I thought a whole daggone shipload of folks were coming here. I thought it was about 1 million people coming here to hear him talk about it. When it was only a few thousand. But the way he put it, we're going to get overran, they're going to take over the country and everything. Playing to his base. So what happens with that, the base, if they are Christians, and which they're not, because the evangelical right-wing conservatives, they can, I can tell you what they can do. But,
go ahead.
But they don't care.
No,
they don't care because Jesus would not treat people like this, okay? They don't care.
Mary, Joseph, and Jesus would have been, separated at the border.
That's right. So he put so much fear in the hearts of Americans, okay, that a whole million people were coming to take over America, that apathy developed, okay? So now nobody really cares. So then they put out these little tidbits each day. But this is the thing that's blown the thing up. I don't know who leaked it about the missing kids, but somebody leaked it, okay? But he's trying to clean it up. He can't clean it up. So we have to, as Americans, they need somebody to be their advocate, okay? Forget these little news snips. Oh, we got these kids missing and everything. But now they've gotten away from talking about the people they're putting in prison and locking up, for the hearings and stuff. You don't hear that no more. You hear a little something about the kids, but after a while, a couple of months from now, you're not even going to hear about this stuff anymore, okay? It's going to be swept under the rug. And that's what's going to be done. But again, we got to change who's running the government. You got popsicle kids sleeps easy at night. But then, like I said, his wife is an immigrant.
Who's also missing.
Yeah, she in the White House. But look, what if somebody had treated her the same way? He doesn't realize we could get up in the arms about her being in the White House.
But would he care?
No, he wouldn't. He'd throw it into the woods.
I mean, that woman stayed in a hospital for what, a week?
Week and a half.
He said he didn't visit her. Nothing.
He doesn't have the brains to feel sorry for someone, to be concerned. He's clueless and brainless when it comes to stuff like that. It's all about himself. That's what he thinks of. That's what he thinks of. And he has enablers that enable him to do that.
Yeah.
This whole North Korea thing ain't nothing but a setup, okay?
Oh, geez. I'm sick of that one, too. Because I know, I feel the same way.
Nobel Peace Prize. Okay, the toss get called off, then it get called back on. That's going to make him look good, supposedly.
Oh, they happened without him.
He'll
So.
never, because he had people from his cabinet go.
Mm-hmm.
They had already gone. But nothing will ever make him look good.
He thinks so.
Shit. Excuse me, I didn't mean to say that. I've been doing so good.
I'm still waiting for the F-bomb.
He thinks everything he's doing is making America great again. Yeah.
Well, not as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. So, like I said, there needs to be some real advocates going out trying to get numbers, visiting these prisons, talking to these people who come into the country. But say, well, look, let's take one step back. I blame some of these immigrants for their attitudes coming in the country. All they want to do, one lady I saw on TV said, all I want to do is just get there. I don't care what happens. I just want to get in the country so I can have my say and try to, tell them why I want to come to America, okay? That's what the attitudes of some are. Let me just get my foot in.
But what's wrong with that attitude? They've got to get here in order to make their case.
You want to get your foot in the country to get put in prison to make your case?
Well, no. But look, if you're being chased by gang members who've raped your parents in front of you and you're dragging your siblings along with you, you'll risk going to jail rather than going back to your community where you will surely die. They're between a rock and a hard place.
The men, I don't see most of these women were by themselves with their kids. Okay, where were the men at? Why were the men riding along trying to protect these women?
Could they be dead?
We don't know. We have to go on a scenario that what's being given to us, okay? We got to realize that, okay? Unless we go down to these countries and visit, where the worst country is Honduras, okay? This is where most of the problems are coming from. We have to go into these countries and see, okay? But the thing is, they were trafficked into this country because they were paying money to come here, okay? They paid lots of money to come here. The people who, their escorts, they escorted them as far as the border, made a lot of money off of them, okay?
Yeah, the snakeheads, yeah.
The Hispanic community should have put together a group of lawyers and people to meet them at the border to be advocates for them, okay? None of that happened, okay? All they did were down there doing mass arrests, okay? They need somebody to advocate for them. Because you can't get a true number of where they are. You don't know where they are. You don't know what prisons are. They could be in prisons in here in Maryland. I mean, in Virginia. Because Virginia has a private prisons, okay? Mm-hmm. They could be anywhere in this country. So how do you go find what you need to find to talk to? How do the lawyers get, the civil rights lawyers get to these people to talk to them and help them become citizens? Mm-hmm. Like you said, these people could be in prison the rest of their life because we don't know where they are. Again, until the Democrats can get control and demand some hard numbers, we will never know. And Trump knows that.
And the unfortunate part is that the Dems are not going to provide that.
They can't. Look, they won't even let them go to a briefing, intelligent briefing.
Exactly.
We are in a constitutional crisis right now. The branches of government have been broken along party lines. And that's
broken, tainted, all of it. Yeah. The lines are broken and tainted.
Yeah.
You're right.
Republicans are running the country the way they want to run it. And they don't give a rat's ass of what the Democrats say.
Did Reggie just say ass?
Yeah, okay?
Reggie's channeling his inner Toni.
Yeah, I'm going back to be quiet now. Because like I said, it's presented that we run a one-sided country, and there's nothing we can do.
Sad, isn't it? Scary at the same time.
Yeah, it's sad.
Very scary. Very scary at the same time.
You have you run into a country that's the person is becoming a dictator.
A dictator.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, with his I hereby declare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what he does with them daggone executive orders, okay?
Yeah. You're right.
But just to backtrack on something you just said, Trump doesn't know shit. I'm sorry. And yeah, I said it. He doesn't know diddly squat. It's his advisors. It's the Millers who know what they're doing.
They get to his ear. Hey, we can't let nobody from Africa come in this month. Let's keep the numbers down. Oh, okay. Just just do what you got to do. That's how he thinks.
Yeah.
So he'll jump on TV. Well, I told my people the limited number of Africans coming into America this month. And he said that's a good thing.
Of course he does, because he's a fucking idiot. Excuse me, I didn't say that.
Ding, 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 ding.
What's going to happen is that we're already losing our standing in the world among the countries that
lost. Not losing, lost.
You got that right.
And it's going to continue on until he's going to have to make a change one way or the other because he's going to be forced.
Yeah.
Okay? Like I said, this career thing is a game. China is playing the game. They're going to play him. He doesn't realize it. Okay? Just because they give his daughter 3 patents, trademark,
right,
doesn't mean nothing. It's a game for them, okay?
Just throw the emoluments law out the window. Why bother?
You know, so eventually, like Jeremiah Wright said, the chicken's going to come home to roost. In a very tough way. And and he's going to be able to control it, okay?
Yes. Yeah, I believe that. I truly believe that.
You got a criminal in the White House running the White House right now. It's like a criminal organization that's running the White House.
Well, of course.
You know?
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
It's sad to me that we have to go through this mess every day because we weren't smart enough to go out and vote.
Yeah.
You know, the Democrats allow a split in the party, a Bernie side of the party and the Hillary side of the party. And that's what killed us.
Yep.
And that
you can say that again.
Yeah. And Hillary should have never ran with all the baggage that she had. It killed her.
Yeah. Or she should have addressed it head on, but she was a coward.
She would never address it.
Yeah.
You know, she was
a coward.
Half-heartedly when it was brought to her attention, but never dived into it and said, look, we're going to talk about it today, and that's it.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, so, the Democrats got to take some blame for this condition in this country now also. And it's going to be tough. It's going to take years to put this country back on the map. You know, but he thinks just because of little things he does that we have standing in this world, people looking at us like we're looking at him like he's a fool.
Yeah, but we're under his direction.
No, you're on his direction. He ain't directing me nowhere.
Well, not you, Reggie, because you're ready to go bomb something.
The White House.
No, careful now.
Don't
they'll come and get
you. I'm sorry. They need a coup.
On Eyewitness News.
Look, they need a coup.
And not behind an anchor desk.
They need a takeover. They need a White House takeover, okay?
There's nobody. We don't have enough people for a coup.
I know.
So that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
We're too much of a Republican, Democratic society for anything like that. We just deal with it in the voting booth. But it's sad that this country is being dragged to the pits of hell.
Pits of hell. That's what it is. You're right.
You know, and then right-wing evangelicals say, that God sent Trump. But like I tell people, Satan also can pull the wool over your eyes too, okay? Yeah. And I think Satan sent him up here.
He is Satan.
Yeah.
Because he's not smart enough to be Satan.
Hey, look.
That's a damn shame.
There's a sinkhole near his property in Florida.
There's also now one at the White House.
Yeah, I hope it swallows the whole White House and his place up, and they can't find him. Okay?
Yeah.
It wouldn't be our luck. So I mean, so it's a whole lot. It's a numbers game.
I just want him to get impeached. I want his entire family to be arrested. I want their assets seized for all the money that they've cost the the citizens of this country, whether it's with the, hundreds of times that we paid for him to go to Mar-a-Lago or play golf, or for the money that he's gained through emoluments or his business transactions through him and his sons. I want that all taken away and given back to the people.
But it'll never happen. Okay?
I know, but I got to put it out there anyway.
Power to the people,
but
power to the people.
The Democrats, the congressional Democrats and the Senate, the Democrats and the Senate can demand information all day long about what's happening with those individuals that came across the border down in Mexico, came out of Mexico, and they're never going to get the truth behind it, okay?
We need a Democratic or an independent WikiLeaks. That's what we need. Because you can't tell me that there's not proof out there.
Period.
Yeah, I know, but the problem is, like, there's so much smoke, but they can't seem to find the source of the fire. And so it's taken forever. I mean, how many, I've worked in government before, and you just needed the perception of doing something wrong, and you could lose your job.
Yeah.
There's more than a perception of him doing something wrong. Tenfold.
Put the screws on these people. That's what they need to do. Is they really need to put screws on these people and get them to fucking flip. That's what they need to do.
They're not. You always
start 2 F-bombs.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
You can't continue to drag people along in this hellacious investigation. As much as we want those things to come out about him, showing that he did collude with Russia in some way. Yes, he is not, well, hell, we know he's a freaking liar. So just get the shit over with. But you got to get people to flip on his ass. You've got to.
But they're not.
You know what's going on.
They're going to have leaks. And they're going to keep leaking. Just like these children. It was a leak. It's continually going to be leaks out of the White House.
We just need to wait for Giuliani to say something, because he will. The man has dementia. He has no business working.
Yeah. He's just a cloud. He's just trying to cover everything with a cloud.
I have a comment from Maxwell Timberland. And before I read his comment, I just want to say, because I know we had jumped right into tonight's topic, and I didn't say hellos to people who were joining us. Miss Jacqueline, always a pleasure to see you. Miss Lissay Greco, good to see you. Al Brooks,
hey, Lisa.
And of course, Maxwell, he has commented. I'm going to read his comment really quick, and I'm going to try and take it down because it's taking up Chara's face. But Maxwell states, the masses are too scared of the government to take a stand and take our land back. We are controlled through fear as well as manipulation. If we all took a stand, we can get back to fairness and honesty. In parenthesis, wishful thinking, I guess.
Timberland for president in 2020. That was a great statement.
Power to the people, Maxwell. Power to the people.
We caught up in our own little worlds, okay?
Yeah.
I'm mad but
say it, Reggie.
He can say shit, but he can't say hell. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Okay, I'm mad as hell, but who's gonna ride the bus with me? That's the thing.
I would, but I'd be afraid you're gonna burn it down.
I probably would.
I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna help you.
Everybody's caught up in their lives. Okay, they got money, they got status, they can live where they want to live. They feel like it doesn't affect them. Here we are on our show crying out for the immigrants, crying out for the children, but their own community is not crying out for them. Okay, Timberland is right. We've got to get some backbone about. Look, what amazes me about other countries like Egypt, some of the European countries, if they call for a one-day strike, the masses, these people come out in masses and they shut the country down. They call for a week strike. They shut the country down. I bet we could call for a one-day strike in America and say, let's shut Washington, D.C. down. We might get 10,000 people. But think if we could shut this country down and everybody converged on Washington as it did with the Women's March and just shut this sucker down, we can gain their attention. But they know we're too complacent because we're involved with taking kids to soccer, making money, and looking at the next installment of Dr. Phil. Okay, they know that. Okay, so they don't have to worry about us coming and banging, trying to tear down the gates of the White House to get in and drag him outside. Okay, they know that.
Yeah, give me a chance.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. You got people. You got a small percentage of people who are concerned, but the larger population really doesn't care because it doesn't affect them.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's true, but then we also have to worry that historically it's been shown to us that we can't get away with Bundy like behavior, or they'll bomb us like they did in Philadelphia in the 80s.
True.
But that was a black mayor who did that in Philadelphia. Good. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
You know.
Well, we have come to the end, y'all. It is 6:27, and that gives us time for us to say our goodbyes. What do you think?
Got an old Budweiser commercial tune going in my head right now. Tonight is kind of special. All I can think is that I'm going to continue to monitor the story to see either when it dies out or when some information comes out about what's happening with these children and what the plan is.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm tussling with this ear. Sorry.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. We just need to change government in the midterms. We need to get some. We need to get a majority back in Congress, or at least the Senate. If we get a majority in the Senate, which is not hard to do, we can, we can slow his agenda down because he'll never have the votes to get things done.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah.
we got to do.
Well, I just want to say thank you to everybody. Timberland, thank you for your comments. He says, great
Yes,
talk.
thank you for your comments, Timberland.
Yeah, we thank you for your opinion and your comment. Al Brooks, uh, good to see you. You're late coming in. Also, Lissay, is it Lisa or Lissay?
I know her as Lisa, but
Okay, Lisa Greco. Also, of course, Miss Jacqueline Price. Always good to see you. And to everybody who has watched tonight, has tuned in and did not comment, we thank you also for being a part of the viewing audience. I want you to make sure that you follow Real World News TV right on Facebook under Real World News TV. Also, making sure to check out our sponsors at hottopicstalkradio.com/sponsors. Real, excuse me, Real World News TV and the Chara gave me her cough. Real World News TV and the Hot Topics Talk Radio Network is sponsored by Shades of Africa in the city of Corona and in Long Beach. Stop on in their store to receive 15% off your purchase when you mention the Hot Topics Talk Radio Network. Also sponsored by that handsome gentleman there. I call him my baby daddy. Let me say that again, my baby daddy.
how you doing?
How you doing? Mr. Reggie Kearney of the Urban Sentinel. Thank you, Mr. Kearney, for your support under this network. Also sponsored by FES Protection, Miss Stephanie Jenkins, and also SPMG Media, Miss Gina Smith. For more information regarding all of our sponsors, head on over to our website at hottopicstalkradio.com/sponsors. Tomorrow night, I want you to join me, Roland D, and Yvonne. Uh, this might be the show for Reggie Kearney because tomorrow night's show is entitled "Who the Daddy."
I'm going on Morris show today. Okay.
Who the daddy? Not who the baby daddy. We just say who the daddy because I hate that term. But that's tomorrow night on Hot Topics Talk Radio with me, Roland D, and Yvonne Baker. So make sure that you stop on in and watch the show tomorrow night. Show starts at 8 o'clock p.m. Pacific, 10 o'clock Central, and 11 o'clock on the East Coast. Make sure that you come on back here next week on Tuesday for another episode of dun, dun, Real World News TV with Reggie Kearney and Chara and Tappin. I'm going to leave it right there so we can get out of here and be on time. Thanks a lot for watching, and we will see you back here on Real World News next week on Tuesday night. Good night,
Good night,
everybody.
guys.
Good night.
Ah! Real World News TV, you are clear.